Yeah. Bitches be ballin', back for episode 6. We're still here. We're still alive in this universe.
Going strong.
And really excited this week. We got another Meet the Manager episode, and we got Jess. Jess
And she's in
Rose.
Toronto, which
And
is
she's
awesome.
in Toronto. So first a fellow Canadian for Kayla. And
I'm so proud.
Are you proud?
It's great to see the Canadian representation. I love it.
Nice. Yeah.
So let's get her on.
Let's just get into it.
Let's get her on. Here you are. Welcome, Jess.
Hello, my fellow Canadians. Yes. My Toronto sister. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about
awesome. I love it. I noticed on your bio that you mentioned something about Toronto there, and I was like, no fucking way. Like, it's so rare to see that. Right? I don't know what it is, but it's awesome. We love it.
Exist.
So, Jess, tell us a little bit about how did we find you? Like, how'd you get the word about Bitches Be Ballin'?
Yeah, so I mean, I've been playing or doing like fantasy for a couple years now. So I've been like following Josh Lloyd and all the Locked On stuff, the Old Man Squad, like some of that content. And I've just been kind of in the fantasy internet streets for a while. And I think Kayla, you were featured on like a couple of those pods, and like I had that same feeling of like, oh, okay, like a Toronto, like a fellow Canadian, like she really knows her stuff. And then like you were talking about like the pod, and you were talking about the league, and I was like, okay, this could be like really exciting. And then I think I reached out and I threw you in like a Raptors fantasy, like
yes, which I love.
Yeah. And then we just kind of took it from there.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I was stoked to have you on board. It was a little worrisome. Like we weren't able to meet the league minimum for like up until the last week. And then finally, because ideally I wanted like 12-man league, but then it was looking like it was gonna be 10, but then we pulled it through. We got the 12. So standard league. Hello. So Jess, how do you think your draft went?
Okay, so
walk us through it.
I think if healthy, my draft went pretty strong, right? Like the opportunity to pair Jokic with Embiid, get quickly. I think I like nabbed him in round like maybe near the end of round 4, beginning of 5. I mean, I think I did pretty well. It's just going to be a matter of like when are they going to get on the floor together to see what the team could actually look like. I've been kind of like trying to tread water, waiting for when everybody's healthy. But in general, it was an awesome draft. I think it was exciting to draft like with all of you ladies. That's also part of the reason why like I was excited to hop on, because I had been looking for other young women who kind of wanted to get involved and do this as well. So I expected it to be a competitive draft. I expected it to be tough, and it was. The Discord was intense. But I do think if I look at my team, it's pretty strong. It's just not healthy, and that kind of comes with it.
Yeah, because I'm looking at your team right now. Like, you got a really good lineup here. Yeah, Joel Embiid's been a bit of a tricky one, but I mean, like when he's healthy, right? There's no denying that dominance. You even got, who's I looking here? Tari Eason, which I think is awesome.
Oh, was that a waiver pickup, or did you draft him?
That was a waiver.
Nice pickup there. Yeah. Very jealous.
And I really just want to highlight your team name, because every time I see it, it makes me laugh. Hottie Barnes.
Hottie Barnes.
Just awesome. I love that.
That was a fun
Love one. Scotty.
Yeah, again, got it. That Toronto representation is important, man. I mean, I'm even looking through my team again, like Cade. Like Cade's been killing it. I think that as my 3rd round pick was strong. But again, I'm not gonna know what I have until my first like 4 picks are not in my IR. So we'll see.
You got a lot of bigs, Jess. You got Jokic, Embiid, Dorian Finney-Smith, Misi. You picked up Collins. I see. Did you just pick him up because for the matchup this week?
Yeah, because Wemby's on.
And Horford, Gafford.
Yeah.
Fucking A. You got like the monopoly on centers, lady.
Well, that's because, when you draft Joel,
you gotta compliment him.
You gotta try to pick up the pieces here and there. And really all of this is in real time, like week 5, just trying to plug the holes where I can. Because Misi's been looking good, but when Jokic is back, that's gonna be my go-to, right? Aiton, I don't know what's going on with his finger. I don't know what's happening there.
No idea, man.
That 3 center drama that's happening with Klingon and Aiton and now Rob Williams, like the Time Lord is back and he's looking really good. So we'll see what happens there. But I think in a couple weeks, come back to me when I'm healthy. We'll see how things play out.
It might be amazing. Like it might be just mind-blowing, because it sounds like they had maybe a come to Jesus meeting last night with Embiid saying like, dude, we really need you to be on time. And
I don't know, Joel.
Yeah, shit went down in that meeting.
Yeah, and it's Maxi. Maxi's the one that was apparently getting saying you're late to everything. And I hope that lights a bit of a fire under him, but with Joel, you never know.
I'm going to be watching that next game because he might go off.
Same. And Maxi should be back, right?
I'm hoping,
he's questionable for the next game.
Tomorrow, right?
Yep.
Tomorrow, so.
Yeah.
So, Jess, tell us a little bit about your fantasy origin story. How long you been in this crazy business?
My fantasy origin story. So it started around the pandemic. I want to say, the second year of the pandemic. My friend reached out to me and he just asked, if I would be interested in joining his league. And I played basketball for a lot of my life, really. And I hadn't followed the NBA too closely, with the exception of course, the Toronto Raptors. Okay. But it was during, like I said, the pandemic, and there wasn't much going on. I was just kind of in my apartment and FaceTiming friends when I could and just trying to keep myself busy. And so I thought maybe doing this could be like a fun way to keep my mind active again. I could find the nuances of falling in love with the game of basketball again. And that's kind of exactly what happened. Of course, like my very first draft went terribly. Like I didn't have the idea yet of like what punting would look like. I paired Giannis with like Bradley Beal at the time, who actually is not as bad as it sounds, because that year he was only like a point away from the scoring title. I think Curry took it that year. Then I threw like Jokic, Vucevic in there. The draft was just not good. But like a couple months into that season, I kind of started to see like the nuances of the game, appreciate these players on these different teams. I started making trades and like giving the other managers like a run for their money. It was me and one other woman in the league at the time. And then the following season, she left. And so now in that league, I'm the only woman in that league. But like they know me as a person who you want to be very careful about like talking trades with, because I've finessed many a manager thinking like, because I'm sure when I pop up in their chats, they assume that I don't really understand kind of the buy low, sell high, the nuances. Is like how I could analyze somebody's team and figure out like what would work best for me versus them. And so they don't really think that much about what I may be throwing their way. And then by the time it's over, I was like the regular season champion last year. So
hell yeah, nice.
Awesome.
Then of course, injuries kind of kept me out of the finals. Like last year, I had Melo, I had Şengün, I had Trey, and so like I just got hit with injury after injury. But I did win the regular season, and I can take the idea of being the underdog, I guess, in some situations, like doing this thing, and use it for my advantage. And so that's kind of been my origin story. Like I just got asked one day during the pandemic with nothing to do, would you be interested? And it kind of gave me a refreshed perspective on the game that I used to love, and I've kind of fallen in love with it in a new way.
Nice. So it's head-to-head category is that league?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice, nice. So have you played like Roto or any other formats?
I've done points, but I've never done Roto, and I hear a lot more people talking about it. I don't know like how you
Mhm.
guys feel about it, or if any of your other leagues you are playing Roto. But for me, it's been a couple points leagues, and then mostly 9 cat.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
started
for
out in
me.
Roto, so
Oh
I
yeah,
have a
you did,
soft spot
right?
for it. Yeah, that was my first
Yeah.
foray into fantasy. It's really different, but it's really it's different in a really good way because it's
Yeah.
less
Mhm.
stressful. Because basically you're just looking at like balance across a lot of categories. You rarely punt, and you're kind of in it for the long haul, right? The whole season. So you don't make a ton of moves. Whereas head to head is like fucking stressful, man. I mean,
But
I'm
I
in
love the
five.
It's
stress.
constant.
The stress is the point.
Oh, I love it. Oh, don't get me wrong, man. I'm into it.
Yeah.
Um, but it's just sometimes I'm like, because I'm in so many leagues, and same with Kayla. Like, I don't know how many
Mhm.
leagues you're in, Jess, but it's like I can't keep track of like who's on what team
Yeah.
and who's dropped who. Like making like fucking somebody dropped Amon Thompson last week in one of my leagues, and I had no idea. And he was just picked off. Like there wasn't even a claim on him. Someone just picked him back up, and I
Mhm.
was just like, fucking A.
Wow. I'm in 3. That's about as much as I think I can handle
It's a
right
lot
now.
to handle.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Yeah, like even for me, like I've always only done like 2 or 3 leagues, and this is only like my 3rd year playing fantasy. So I went from like 2 to 3 to 11 this year, which is like a pretty drastic jump. And I'm also doing my first roto leagues this year because usually I do points, and then I've started doing more categories. But yeah, it's been crazy, but I love it.
How
I'm
are you
here for
finding
it.
Roto, Kayla?
I like it so far. It's exactly like you said, where it's a little bit less hectic. You're not doing as many moves, but you still gotta monitor it. And I just find like the standings are always fluctuating because like last time we talked,
Totally.
I think I was last, and now I'm fifth. We were just checking before the show. So yeah,
Yeah, small
I'm in.
margins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, it's definitely been interesting, but
Nice. I
definitely gonna
might
do
be
more leagues.
toxic. I might be toxic because I need the drama. I need the chaos. Like I'm hearing you guys talking about Roto, and it does sound fun, and I might try it maybe next season. But yeah, I'm hearing in it for the long haul, and it's slower, and it's like calmer, and I'm like, oh, that's nice, but
Mhm.
no, I need the drama.
Not
It's
for
like the rush,
you.
right? Yeah, for head to head. I totally get it.
I need to
Yeah,
be
there's nothing to
down one
throw.
steal and like 10 points, and like not know what Sunday's gonna look like. Like, ugh, I love it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you mentioned you're kind of like the underdog in this league. And are you the underdog because you're a woman and you're perceived as like maybe not knowing as much?
Absolutely. Like in the other 2 leagues that I'm in, I am the only woman in those leagues, and so like it's been really fun. Because there was one like there was a kind of Toronto based NBA kind of fan league that I was just thrown into, and it's like a bunch of guys. One or two I know a little bit better than the rest, but like when we had the draft night, I was getting messages by the end of it like, "Whoa, shit! Like what? Like your team's kind of nice." Like it was like a chaotic fan tracks draft where even I was sitting back like, okay, like there's some like interesting picks happening here. And I think right now I'm like third in that league, but like kind of from when we finished the draft, like I was just kind of getting messages like, oh, okay, like your team looks pretty good. Like you clearly know what you're doing there. And so now I've just been getting the most random like trade requests that don't make any sense at all.
Oh, hit us with some. We want to hear some fucking stupid ass trade
This is
offers.
fresh out of the Hall of Shame on the
Yes,
Discord channel that we have.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I need to really like. I've just been like declining them to the point where I can't
of
even like.
course.
If I was actually to like look, like I think somebody was trying to offer, like they really wanted Jordan Poole, and they wanted to give me basically like nothing for him.
Mm.
It's so ridiculous. Like let me actually this.
So does it ever like make you pissed off?
I mean,
Or do you
yeah,
just kind of use it to your advantage?
I think a bit of both. Like it's frustrating, but I think by the end of the season, when I'm top three, and the way that you perceived what I was doing or the moves I was making, you weren't paying that much attention, so it works to my advantage anyways. And then the league that I was telling you about that kind of started, it's like 4 years in now. I'm seen as like, you know, somebody who knows what they're doing in that league. And so it is unfortunate that like as a woman who's doing anything in sports, like you kind of feel like you have to earn like respect in that way. It's not like given, and it should be. So I don't know, I'm the type of person where I would rather not let stupid things like frustrate me. I just kind of, I'll get my get back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Nice.
definitely frustrating because it's such like a male dominated game. I feel like if you're the only woman in the league, people are always going to look down on you and think that you have no idea what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah.
But that's not the case. Right? And I always hate to see that. And when people start throwing like shitty trade offers at you, that's so insulting. Like seriously? Like
Yeah. No, like, or I just do the same. I'm
yeah,
like,
there you go. Just like counter with a shitty trade. Even worse.
I always do that. I always counter just because, you know.
Yeah, you've got to.
Yeah, I think that's the funniest thing to do, honestly. Like it's so frustrating.
So Jess, you already mentioned a couple of your favorite analysts that you like to follow. When you like, because there's so many analysts out there with different shows and stuff, like how do you kind of like, why do you pick the ones that you follow? Like what about them? What about like analysis do you like? Like do you love data? Do you love more instinctual? Do you like comedy? Like how do you choose what to plug into?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think data with like really well communicated like tips and tricks. Like if we're talking about, okay, who, you know, this is like the week 6 preview and um this is what the slate of games will be looking like. Or this would be a good kind of waiver wire pickup if he's not there. With a bit of comedy as well. Like Josh is ridiculous. Like he's really good and he's also really funny. And so that's why he kind of like stands out to me. But that's really what it is. Like if you can be effective and efficient in kind of what you're looking to communicate, like day by day, because it is really fast moving. And I don't do like weekly leagues, right? So like I said, like I'm toxic. I need the drama. So it's like daily stuff. It's head to head. I want to know what categories are out there, what's on the waiver wire, what is happening within the league that changes, you know, a player's value, so to speak, right? What trades, who went down, who's going to be the next man up, what does that look like? What are the hidden gems that can give you a leg up week to week? And so when I'm looking for some of those like analysts, that's what I'm wanting to hear.
Yeah. And so do you have like Twitter alerts and stuff so that you know about all the stuff that's going down?
Yeah, I mean, not so much alerts. And I also feel like everyone's kind of moving off of Twitter. I don't know if
Yeah. Thankfully.
well, like the blue sky thing is happening. But there are a couple, I want to say it's like underdog alerts.
Yep.
That's one that I'll like check consistently. And that's really been it. Like those analysts and then maybe one or two specific like Twitter accounts. But then that feels like it might be changing over the next month or so, like with whatever's happening with Blue Sky. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm so stoked that Blue Sky has taken off so much. Like I think in our episode right after the election, I was saying that I felt like kind of bad about having to use Twitter as a platform because it's kind of the one in the industry that's the most used. But then literally like the next day, everybody was creating Blue Sky accounts. And Josh was just like, I'm on Blue Sky. I want to be on Blue Sky more. Maybe eventually I'll be off of Twitter. And I'm like, fuck yeah. I mean, and so then there's just been this huge, great migration. The only thing is that the notifications setup is still not there. Like you can't get like the alerts for specific accounts like you can with Twitter. But I think that'll change like pretty soon. But I'm so stoked. And Kayla and I were remarking that there's just no trolls. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Great.
Nice. I mean, yet.
I mean,
I think it's gonna be better though than Twitter. Like no matter what happens, like
yeah.
Twitter's just really gone to shit, and I don't see Blue Sky heading in that direction. Like, yeah, trolls are always going to troll, but I don't think it's going to get to the extent that it was on Twitter.
That would be great.
Hopefully, right?
Yeah.
But it's funny we're talking about this too, because I'm in a group chat with all of the fantasy analysts. And yeah, after Josh Lloyd went over, a couple of other analysts went over, Alex Rickling really fostered that migration over to Blue Sky. So he was getting all of the analysts to switch over. So that's why there was like that mass migration over the span of like a couple of days. Like everyone was just going over, including myself. And yeah, it's been great. So far, everyone's been saying a lot of good things about it.
Yeah. I set up my account. I'm just kind of like silently scrolling, seeing what it could potentially become by the time, this time next year. Hopefully it is the new spot where everybody can go.
Hopefully. That'd be so great. What else? So Hottie Barnes, how are you doing in the standings? How are you?
I think I'm like 9 or 10.
That's not terrible.
It's not terrible. And I did notice that in our league, it's pretty close. Like it
is very tight.
It's gonna be interesting. Yeah, it's gonna be very very interesting. So when I get healthy, like, look out for Hottie Barnes, man.
We're not having blowout matchups. Like everyone is like super tight week to week.
Actually, there was that one week where I got my ass kicked. But aside from that, yeah.
Aside from that,
I feel like you got the injury bug a little bit too, Kayla. I feel like, well, honestly, the league in general, like everyone, a lot of players are going down. But I know, the beginning it was a little rough.
It was rough. Yeah, it's starting to catch up to me now because I didn't have it as bad as other teams had it like earlier. But now there's been a couple injuries. Wemby too. Yeah, poor me.
I know, Wemby will come back this week.
I know everyone's complaining about Wemby, like I don't get it, but yeah, Wemby, Jalen Johnson. Sorry,
I didn't understand. Everyone's complaining. Like he had like a 5x5, and then didn't he block like 9 shots shortly before or after
ridiculous
as well? And everybody was still. Is it the efficiency thing? Like what was everybody expecting? I didn't understand.
I think it's just people were expecting like a huge second-year leap, and like everyone was taking him like first or second overall too, right? So the expectations were pretty high, which I get, but still, I mean, you willingly chose Wemby first, so you cannot be complaining about how this guy is performing. And you also have to remember that it was only like 2 weeks into the season. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't get it.
And his second year of playing in the NBA, like cut him some slack, No one's forcing you to fucking pick him at number 1 either. You did it, so. Right?
But my thing is that's still the right choice, though. Like
it is, 100%.
He's still looking like that. Well, Jokic is Jokic, but I think taking Wemby number 1 still feels fine. I wouldn't be complaining. It was interesting seeing that discourse.
Yeah, a lot of people, even all over Twitter, a lot of leagues that I was in, people were complaining. Don't get it.
I'm really happy with our league format too. Like we added, we have 3 IL plus spots. We have 2 IL. We have 5 moves a week. Like I think it's we had third round reversal. Like it's pretty good format. I will say. But I was saying earlier to Kayla that Josh's Locked On head-to-head tournament leagues, I think, has the best format I've ever played in because I feel like it's really it allows everything to be kind of more equal. Well, 1, it was third round reversal. 2, it's a really, really deep roster. So I think it's 16. You have 16. So you have like 6 bench players or something. So super deep bench to pull from. And it's games cap. So you can only play each position 4 times maximum during the week. So you have to really pick and choose who you're going to slot in, and you're playing 2 matchups a week too. So I think it's great. Like it's a really good format. And I will, if I can just brag a little bit, out of 120 teams in the Locked On Brown Bowl, I am number 1 right now.
No fucking way. That's awesome.
Shout out to you.
That's amazing. I'm manifesting a win for you. You got it.
This week's tough.
You got this league in the bag.
I got a couple of tough matchups this week, but yeah. So Jess, what do you use do you use any like tools that you make or to plan out like what kind of moves you're gonna make? And do you like how do you schedule time to plan your fantasy? Like, is there something, do you like sit down every Sunday night after your last matchup and plan out the next week?
No, actually. And I feel like I probably should. There have been though some like 3 a.m. Okay, let me like gotta get this guy. Let me think through some of that. But really what I do is I will look at the matchup. Like I'll maybe Friday or Saturday, I'll see who's coming up, especially if I feel like I have that current week's matchup either like one, or if it's going to be a loss, I'm like, okay, that's fine. Let me see what the next week is looking like, and I'll just quickly evaluate the strength and the weaknesses of the next matchup, and then plan some of my moves from there. But I don't have like I saw this one YouTuber. He built like a custom Excel spreadsheet of the average like stats across the NBA from the previous season, and then like you could copy and paste different players based off of their projections. And then he used that to like draft, and then I'm sure throughout the season those are the tools and the software that he had. I'm not doing anything like that in depth, but I'll just do things, like evaluate kind of what I feel the strength and the weaknesses are of my opponents, and then kind of try to pick up players from there.
Wow, so you're instinctual.
A little bit, yeah.
And you don't really use like Basketball Monster or any kind of tools?
Not really.
Wow, I am fucking impressed. I don't know what I'd do without Basketball Monster, honestly. Like I could not think for myself like you.
I need to see stats though to help me make decisions.
I need to model shit out as much as
right. I feel like but isn't it mostly instinctual? Like if you look at a team and it's like you said, okay, my team right now, it's like pretty big, right? So rebounds, blocks, field goals, probably going to be decent. If there was a more like guard heavy leaning team, then I know I'm going to want to make sure that threes and points and assists look good. Free throws and field goal might be up for grabs depending on who you got, who the guards are, and then you just kind of go from there.
I love that. You make
it sound really straightforward and easy.
You guys are the pros.
No, I don't think I'm a pro. I mean, I'm kind of a hack that just sort of, but I really do lean on like the Basketball Monster probably way too much. Like
but it's still a good tool to have, right? Like, it's definitely instinctual as well. But I mean, like, adding some stats in there too. But I love the analysis, Jess, that you put into your league. That's awesome. I love it. That's dedication right there. And you do that daily?
Not daily. Like maybe a couple times a week. Like I'll try to take a look and see where I'm at and who's coming up and try to adjust my team accordingly. And really, unless I'm doing like in one of my leagues, I had to do a pretty guard heavy draft. It was like pretty deep, 16 team. I was 7 or 8. So I had to do like the Trey, Dame was available to me on the back end. Actually, Maxi was available to me on the back end. But like I wasn't too sure about what PG and Joel would take from his usage. So like I just went with Dame. And so in a situation like that, I'm leaning towards, like punting some rebounds, some of the big man stats. And so with teams like that, then you just have to adjust some of what that analysis is. But for the most part, I am trying to, on draft night, I'm trying to see how well-rounded can I actually be so that I'm competent in all of the categories, unless again I'm forced into a particular punt, and then I'm gonna go like all in and make sure you never beat me in 4 or 5 things.
And when you were doing your drafts, were there any players that you were targeting and any that you were avoiding?
Yes, I was targeting quickly. I definitely I like quickly. I did get Dyson in one of my leagues. In our league, I wanted Daniels as well. I was very sad when I think I was like a picker.
Emma.
Yeah.
Emma was determined.
Yeah. I just had a feeling. I was like, yeah, I think he's gonna be good, and he is killing it right now. I avoided DeMar. I avoided Ooch, Keegan Murray. Like there are a few players that just didn't excite me, or I felt were unfortunately on the decline. Just age, practically. I was like, okay, depending on how far they fall, maybe I pick up some of these players. But for the most part, I was just fading players that I thought trades in the offseason made what they could do a little bit harder because, things got crowded. Stars came and changed what the team could look like, kind of a thing. Or they just got a little bit older. Because I'm looking at what LeBron is doing, and it's really not making sense to me.
He's unreal. He's on a different level.
I still don't understand it. And then, but there's still in the back of my mind this feeling of like, when you pick up a LeBron, when you need him, I don't think he's gonna be like, I don't know if he's gonna be around for like fantasy like playoffs and for the finals and those types of things, like just practically resting, or if the foot kind of injury pops up again, or a hip or whatever it might be, you just never know. And so I don't want to draft scared. Like I don't want to draft like afraid of injuries or whatever, but I also want to be thinking about when it matters, who might be resting, who might get shut down, what does that look like? And so yeah, like I would be fading some of the older players or players that I just don't think would have had the room to do as much because new players came in that changed what their usage could be.
So Embiid, you weren't drafting scared there, huh? When you picked Embiid.
No, but then that's what I'm saying. That's a very different thing, right?
He fell though, so it was whoever was going to get him. He fell really hard.
That's what I'm saying. So sometimes the draft, like you also can't go into a draft with like a hard set plan because you just have to let what's going to happen. And I couldn't give up the opportunity to pair Embiid with Jokic because either of those guys on a good night could swing your matchup. So fingers crossed that they play at some point together in my league.
There's still plenty of time left too. I mean, it's still early. Obviously, like the injury bug hit early, but I mean, like the rankings don't really mean anything, like at this stage. Like until about like the late season, that's when things kind of start coming together, I think.
Exactly.
But right now, it's too early. Especially like every team is dealing with injuries too, right? Like we're all shorthanded, so it's all skewed.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
What is so do you watch a lot of hoops, and if so, like who are your favorite players, teams to watch?
Man, my favorite players to watch. You know what? Aside from like what the Raptors have going on, I will say as an aside, I think the Raptors are doing the most like entertaining tank job of a season that I've ever seen.
100%.
And so I'm loving this. It's very entertaining to me. And I'm actually not as like depressed about what the season could look like as I initially thought I would be going into it, because we knew like they weren't probably going to be winning that many games. And high draft picks were going to be the goal. But this has been really, really interesting. So I just wanted to get my Toronto bias out there. Aside from that, Steph Curry, I think, is my favorite player to watch ever of all time. I think what he does is electrifying. And again, like he's one of those players where I probably would have made an exception around like the age thing. Like if there was an opportunity, if he fell in any way, shape, or form to me, I probably would have picked him up. But yeah, Steph Curry and the Warriors are really, really fun. I do like what Norman Powell is doing as well. Again, maybe that's a bit more of my Raptors bias, but his story and what he's been able to do has been really, really fun. The East in general, like I'm not really. It's been an interesting time seeing the disparity between how good the Western Conference is versus the Eastern Conference. Because right now it just seems like Boston and maybe Cleveland. Like there's talk of what the Cleveland Cavaliers are doing, but I don't know if I believe in it that much. But Donovan Mitchell is also pretty exciting to watch. And then the last shout out that I'll give is to Ant-Man. Like he's really, really cool.
He's pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, he's very fun to watch. He's a high flyer type of guy. And so those are kind of some of my favorite hoops and some of my favorite players.
Those are good picks.
That was a perfect answer for both
Jess,
of us.
I can't argue with any of those picks.
Good.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I love it. Especially Norman Powell too. Like it's not a Raptors bias or anything there. Like he's just been fantastic this season.
And so efficient.
I love him.
And just And
he actually stepped up.
Yeah, and he just went down to the hamstring injury.
Yeah, hopefully
which is unfortunate, but
Hopefully it's not anything too serious. But what he's been able to do this season has been really exciting. I don't know if or when Kawhi's coming back, but I think Ty Lue did say that even when Kawhi comes back, Norman is going to he's staying a starter, which
yeah, as he should.
Yeah, he's earned it. He's absolutely earned it.
So Jess, when the Raptors won the championship, like how were you feeling?
I was feeling over
that whole series.
I was like,
pretty emotional.
I was freaking out, and I think like those 4 bounces was when I knew. I think we got this. Like I think that shot. I think I just saw somebody tweet that the Raptors basically took away any legitimate shot that Joel and the 76ers would have had at a championship, and they've never really recovered. Like those 4 bounces really shifted something in the psyche of Philadelphia. So that's always fun to reminisce about. But oh yeah, I was over the moon. Like I remember me and my little brother, like back in the day, watching the Raptors be terrible, but loving them anyways. We both played basketball, and then he went on like to play football. But me and my brother, like we bonded over basketball, and the Kyle and DeMar era. Because people actually don't realize the Raptors are one of the most winningest franchises, like for regular season percentages, like in the history of sports. I think we have like a top 10 just regular season win-loss kind of percentage. And of course, because it's in Toronto, people don't really know or talk about it or care. But like we were perennially in the playoffs. We didn't lose that often, and we were a really fun team. But I remember back in like the early 2000s, what that looked like. And so like seeing them win was awesome. So awesome, 2019.
It was your time.
Yeah. It was an unreal experience. Like I remember feeling the same emotions that you did, like just ecstatic, like disbelief too, and like my household was going crazy. Like it's an experience that we will never forget. That's for sure.
Yeah. No, I got like I actually was able to get a picture like with the cup at the time.
Oh no way.
Yeah, it was really, really fun.
That's awesome. I have like a whole shrine in my basement with like the championship banner and then the ring and everything. I don't know if I have it here. Oh, I do have it here.
That sounds
right
a little creepy, Kayla.
No, okay, not a creepy
your basement.
Yeah.
You have like
Let me clarify. My dad set that up.
You got like a shrine.
I prayed to the Raptors gods and everything. Yeah.
And
like
you also have a little picture of Dyson Daniels in there because
I do, because he's my fantasy boyfriend. You know what? One day I'll take a picture of the shrine and I'll post it on
our
do, Twitter.
Please.
Yeah, I gotta, because it's pretty sick that we set up everything, and it's a good reminder of all the good times, right?
Yes.
And Jess, I want to ask you actually, when's the last time you went to a Raptors game?
The last time I went to a Raptors game was last year. Me and a friend went to a Bucks game, but Giannis, like, it was another one of those times where like he was supposed to be playing, and then like we get there and he's in street clothes, and we're like, oh no. So yeah, it was like it was last year. I haven't gone to a game this year yet, but I plan to.
Awesome. I'm actually going December 1st. We're playing the Heat, so that'll be a good one. Yeah. It's gonna be my first Raptors game this season. So I really just want to see that team in person. Like I feel like I can't even describe the energy at the Scotiabank Arena because we have one of the best fan bases in the league. And I feel like I could say that confidently. Like I've been to a couple of arenas in the States, but like what we have in Toronto is just, it's so special. I love it. Like the energy there is insane. So Yuri, you got to come to Toronto. We'll catch a game and you will see that energy firsthand.
I will. I'll come. And maybe we'll be playing the Warriors, and I can wear my dubs.
That'd be perfect.
Yes. Yeah. No, I mean, there's been a lot of talk in Toronto about that awesome fan base, Kayla, that you speak of being priced out a little bit of the games. But yeah, the energy it's electric for sure.
Have you ever gone to Jurassic Park for a playoff game?
No.
No, me either. I want to go.
What's Jurassic Park again?
So Jurassic Park is basically right outside the Scotiabank Arena. We have like a huge like screen there, and people always go there to watch the playoff games. So it's awesome. Like it's honestly just as fun outside as it is inside. It's amazing.
Huh. Nice.
Yeah.
Are there like any big dinosaur sculptures and stuff in Jurassic Park?
No, but like sometimes we'll have like stickers on the floor. Like I was downtown last week and we had like the Raptors, like the stickers all over the floor, like footprints leading up to the arena. Should have
Mhm.
taken a picture of it, but it's awesome. They always have like something dinosaur there.
Nice. I
Yeah,
bet you guys have really good food there.
yeah. I mean,
It's
Toronto
pretty
is
good.
one of the best food cities in the world.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think I can say that confidently. Like Toronto is definitely. I think it's because we're also very multicultural. Um,
Yep.
well, anything that you want to eat, you'll probably be able to find here, and it'll be quality food.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah. Like even when I was going to university, I went to Toronto Metropolitan University. So I went there for 4 years, and some of that was during COVID. So I wasn't downtown for the full amount of time. But I always loved, just walking through the city, like seeing all the people, all the food. I would always pass like this one little food court near the university, and like it was amazing. And I miss that, but good times.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll definitely try and visit Toronto. I love I mean, we went to Montreal last year and loved it. Um, and so
Toronto's next.
Toronto's
You've never
on the
been,
plan.
right?
No, I've never been. Never
Wow,
been.
you did
So you gotta go.
Montreal before Toronto. Interesting.
Well, we went for Grand Prix. We went to the for the F1 race.
Nice.
And it was incredible. It was a great race and a great experience. So, but Toronto, we love Canada. So, I mean,
Are you
let's
a big
do
Canada's
it.
awesome.
Lewis fan? Yeah.
I am. I'm
Yeah.
a Lewis fan. Although and so I'm psyched he's going to Ferrari, but I got to say that I love Oscar Piastri too. I think he's just like he's low key fucking phenomenal. Like, like he's a really good driver and I like how professional he is. And yeah, so Oscar's my second fave.
Nice.
I don't really hate any of the drivers too. Like all the drivers are pretty cool and like kind of kind and nice to one another. And so but yeah, that's a weird sport, very rich and very like there's some weird stuff like how they can't swear and stuff. Like the F1
Really?
president guy seems I don't like that guy. Like seems like he's really controlling and kind of like look at me, it's all about me. I don't know.
Interesting.
Um
Didn't know that.
so we love to have our guest pick the badass bitch of the week. And so Jess has kindly got someone for us. Who you got?
I do. And I thought about this, and there's actually a couple people that I wanted to pick, but I think for the sake of this show has absolutely taken over. I don't know if you guys are watching The Penguin, but I'm obsessed.
Fuck yeah.
And so my pick has to be Kristen Milioti. Okay, Sophia Gigante. What she's doing on that screen. If you are not watching The Penguin,
Team Sophia. Team
watch.
fucking Sophia.
Yeah, definitely going with Christina Milioti.
What an interesting character.
Yes.
And like over the course of the season, because you go into it thinking, yeah, Penguin is an interesting guy. Seems like he comes from a good place, like from his heart. And so you start out that way, but then and then the way they introduce Sophia, like, sorry, this is a spoiler alert for anyone that hasn't watched Penguin. And then when she comes on the scene, you're kind of like, oh, she's a baddie, right? Like she's the hangman, like she's done really bad things. She's going to be like bad for our protagonist Penguin. But then, oh shit, man, once you start going into like her backstory and what she's about, your team Sophia and you ain't fucking looking back, man. Like up until the end, tables have turned and I would love just a Sophia Gigante series, please.
That would be awesome. That would actually be
right? Like only her.
All in on that because yeah, the story, the way these characters unfold, and I mean, I don't know how familiar you guys are with like the DC Batman like lore and all the backstory, but I mean, the Penguin as a protagonist is hilarious because we know that he's like one of the worst people in Gotham, right? Like the comic, like we know that he's like the villain of the story. And I was talking to some of my friends about the mind trick that the writers and the directors play on you when it comes to this character. and how it all kind of unfolds. And by the time you get to the finale, spoiler alert, you're just basically reminded of how terrible Penguin really is. But again, I'm obsessed with the portrayal of the Hangman, what Kristen was able to do with that character, and I'm so excited to see her like come back.
Yeah, she's an incredible actress. And I loved the styling of her character, like the clothes that she was wearing and her makeup. I thought it was just perfect and so edgy. Like it really brought her character, like her innermost soul to life, just the way that she dressed and her makeup and just the way she acted. And yeah, I could not watch her when she was on the screen.
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised. Yeah, sorry, we just spoiled the whole fucking thing for you, Kayla. But
no, that's okay. I'm gonna forget it in like 5 minutes, but it's all good. Yeah, it's
you're
on my
gonna
list.
fucking
I just
love it.
need to watch it.
It really exceeded my expectations because I'm not a huge comic books type of person. But everyone kept talking about this series before it started, and so my husband and I were just like, okay, let's watch the Penguin. And I think it was after like 3 or 4 episodes has already aired, so it was good. We could binge a little bit. But we were just like, holy shit, this is fucking good. It's not like comic booky at all. It's really like dramatic, character driven TV.
Really well done. Like it really was well done. So that's my pick. And if anyone was curious, I don't know if you guys follow the W, but my other option was Sydney Colson from the Las Vegas Aces, one of the funniest women on the internet. I think she's one of the funniest athletes that I've seen in a very long time. Was fighting for that second spot, but I think we'll go with Kristen.
Next year, we're going to do a WNBA league.
Hey.
Yeah. Because Emma is in one. And I was like, oh my God, they exist. Let's do it. And so I think Bitches Be Ballin', we're going to do a WNBA fantasy league.
Okay.
Yep. ESPN.
Get ready. Well, Jess, thanks so much for being on the pod and for being part of Bitches Be Ballin'. Like, it's so awesome to have you on board, Hottie Barnes, and hopefully you can come back again. Any parting thoughts, words of wisdom, frustrating things that you want to put out in the universe?
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, man. You know, the whole idea of like fantasy basketball, and like I was saying, it gave me a really fun, nuanced way to fall in love with the game again. It gave stakes to like a regular season game that I think had been missing for a very long time. And it's just awesome to see women kind of jump on board and you know take some space in loving this game and loving fantasy. So you guys are awesome. I want to throw all of the thanks back your way. You both are really, really awesome, and it's been exciting to be part of the league. Hottie Barnes will rise. Hottie Barnes will rise to the standings. But it's been really awesome chatting with you guys.
Awesome. Thanks again. It's been great having you on.
Well, Kayla, let's not get caught.
Let's keep going.